Brian, we can't call this a home run draft, right?
No, it's a draft that got you tougher.
Okay.
And like I said, I think it was very, very steady. There's not the flash or pizzazz that you think that maybe some of the other teams grab, but you grab some very steady football players.
Would you give it a thumbs up? Would you call this a successful Cowboys draft?
I think it was successful I mentioned this earlier. I mean, when I looked at my board and what I did, the 190 players, the fact that they got, say, the 4 third-rounders in a row, I think that says a lot. I think the fact that they added a linebacker from LSU, like I said, that can help them in 2023. But I think it's going to be more about with last year's draft and this year's draft, can you do enough in the middle of it? I mean, you've got your star players and stuff like that, but you're going to need somebody to step up from last year's class, and they're going to need Smith to start at left guard. And if Smith starts at left guard and Tolbert helps him as a third receiver and Ridgeway plays as that one technique, as violent as he's played at Arkansas, then yeah, I'll say it's a successful draft.
Okay, I think they are going to start Smith at left guard because they don't have other options. It's going to be more like on-the-job training.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. I mean, they could go back to, they go to Conor McGregor again, but Conor McGovern, and and they see that could be the competition. Me personally, just plug the kid in, play. Let's see how he's going to go.
Who else from the class has a chance to start?
I think that if you look at really, I'm going to say that to me that as I look at those names, what's going to happen at right defensive end? Is Sam Williams? Is Sam Williams going to be better than Armstrong? Could that be, there's going to be some guys out of this class. Tolbert as a third receiver. I mentioned Ridgeway stepping in as a defensive tackle. But can Sam Williams do enough to say, oh, hey, I am better than? This Sam Williams that's a Dan Quinn guy.
Yeah.
Dan Quinn is going to do everything in his power to make sure that kid's on the field.
Even more than Dorrance Armstrong, who they just paid?
Yeah, I think so.
Well, Dorrance is good.
Dorrance is good.
If Williams is better than that, I'll be ecstatic. Yeah. I really will if rookie year. I think what you've said about Ridgeway, the big defensive tackle, he has a chance to be an impact rookie.
He does. And that's because I think that they're looking for a legitimate bully at that one technique. The old regime of Rod Marinelli and that group and not caring about defensive linemen, I think they care about defensive linemen. And I think this Ridgeway guy, I think he's a perfect fit for them playing. They talked about, we talked about Jordan Davis. Oh, what if they drafted Jordan Davis from Georgia? This guy is a later version of a Jordan Davis, a 6'5", 321-pound man. I know Jordan Davis is about 20 pounds heavier, but you're talking about the same kind of toughness at the point of attack.
Can he handle NFL guards already? Is he going to be able to shut him down?
Saying. That's been Jordan Davis. The reason why he goes to the first round is he holds up 3 guys. Ridgeway's a guy that you could see, like I say, he plays as a head-up nose, and like he's grabbing SEC centers and just kind of throwing them aside and making plays. I
love it.
So yeah, him, Farrell from LSU. These were the types of guys. These big, heavy nose, one technique guys. I think that they make a difference in the middle of that defense for you.
Okay, how about you mentioned Tolbert, the wide receiver?
Yeah.
Could you see him being the third guy instead of James Washington?
Oh, absolutely, I could. Now, James Washington has experience. He's a veteran guy. We'll see. I mean, but if it's somewhat even between the two, I'm playing Tolbert. I'm sorry, I'm just going to play it 6'1", 194 pounds. This guy will go get the football. I mean, he is a tough guy. You talk about he is so competitive, going and getting it, high pointing ball, red zone target, stuff like that. I think the Cowboys are really fortunate they got him when they did. They talked about drafting him at 56. So I'm a big fan of that.
What's their best pick?
I think the best pick is probably going to, it's on my board, I would say the way it would be with Tolbert, Williams, Smith, but they're all like 74, 75, 79 right there. So if whoever of that group, like I say, and then you got Ridgeway in there as well. If Smith ends up being the starter at left guard, that might end up being their best pick.
Yeah, in time for sure.
Yeah.
So it sounds like you have like 4 guys who you have hopes for.
I absolutely love Tolbert, Williams, Smith, and Ridgeway. Absolutely. And I think that Jake Ferguson has got his traits for the way
That's
he
the
plays.
tight end in Wisconsin.
Yeah, but he's going to be the third tight end, I have a feeling.
Okay. How many of these guys are we going to consider big hits in 5 years from now?
big hits in 5 years.
Still, let's say still on the team, starting. Maybe not stars, but they're there.
I think, well,
they earned a second contract.
Yeah, second contracts.
Yeah.
I think Tolbert's second contract. I think Williams' second contract. I think Smith's second contract. And depending on what you want to do with Ridgeway, as far as if he's holding up, if he's one of those guys that becomes just a dominant player inside, you might want to take that. I think Clark, the linebacker that they drafted really for 2023, that's a guy you need to keep an eye on.
LSU
guy, yeah.
He has star potential.
It absolutely does. That's a legitimate second-round player, 6'3", 240 pounds. I mean, he came back to LSU, as like they had nothing on defense, even though they have all these players get drafted. They had nothing on defense. This kid comes back, and he is the best player on their defense. I take that back. Stingley, when he played, was their best player, but Stingley didn't play all the time. This kid did.
Okay, we've been talking about Joe Philbin, Cowboys offensive line coach. When the season ended, I thought that was no doubter that the organization would force Mike to move on.
That was an uncomfortable interview I had to do with him the other day.
I imagine as he strolled in there,
I was kind of thinking, well, he's either going to rip my rear or I'm just going to and I'm going to say, sir, this is what I do,
I've said Troy Aikman looks super high on television for the longest time, So when I was getting ready to talk to him on Friday, I was like, well, is he going to want to bring this up or does he hate me? For mentioning it,
man.
But it's all over Twitter.
Yeah,
it's part of the job though, and I hope that the players can have as much respect for the job that I have to do as they want towards them. Because our job is to have opinions and be entertaining, and sometimes it's painfully obvious, especially covering this Cowboys organization, that a coach needs to go. But damn, nepotism is happening. So Joe Philbin's still around. You interviewed him over the weekend, though.
I did.
What did you find out?
He was actually really good.
What are the takeaways?
No, the takeaways for that, he loves the toughness that he has. We talk about that with Smith. The character and stuff with him and how important it is, the chance he got to visit with him. He appreciates all that about the more that he's got to go and work out the guy. We're just watching tape. I'm just watching tape. So I put a grade on him. But these guys get the chance to go. We're all learning about this guy and how important it is to him.
Yeah.
And I think that's what Joe Philbin really appreciates about the work ethic, coming in, doing the job, being prepared, being ready. These are all those traits that he really, really likes about this kid.
Well, I hope he doesn't like projects so much that he's got a bias towards it, because he did choose Steele over Collins for a long time. Like these hardworking lunch pail guys who aren't the most talented or don't have the best track record, I think he loves coaching them into being viable NFL players.
Yeah.
And I don't know how much that impacted the decision to draft him, but that's a big thing right there. We need Joe Philbin to be much better at his job. The last time somebody was this bad at offensive line coach, they fired him midseason, Paul Alexander.
Right.
And brought Colombo and Hudson Houken.